Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Baltic Sea Project webinar called Air Quality, Lichens, Climate Change and Citizen Science. My name is WHATISCITIZEN and I'm from Estonia. I'm coordinating the Baltic Sea Project in here. But me and my team in Baltic Sea Project, we have organized this event for you for few reasons. First of all, the reason is that we want to launch a Baltic Sea Project Air Quality Month. So you will hear about it today. Other reason is that we want to give information about the global air quality problems. Also, we want to provide some examples about citizen science projects. What is citizen science and how can we all take, how can we participate? So we also share methods for actions that are connected to sustainable development goals related to air quality. We also invite schools to join lichens BioBlitz, and we also will ask schools to join this nice lichen-related art campaign today. And we will teach how to use iNaturalist application, and also we will share very nice lichen bioindicator identification sheet, which has 12 species of lichen in pictures and in all the Baltic Sea languages to make it easier for you to investigate lichen this month. So I'm very happy that you all are here. We have about 50 registered participants today from almost all of the Baltic Sea countries. And we are very delighted with the Baltic Sea Citizen Science team to have you here for all of this. So this webinar is actually supported by the Estonian Environmental Investment Center and also the Ministry of Education and Research in Estonia. And it is organized and supported by different organizations that logos you can see on this slide at the bottom of this slide. So there are many participants, many supporters of this event today. So the event today will be focusing on the Baltic Sea Project Air Quality Month, and we will help you to understand what is the month about, how you can participate, and what it's all about. But the program will last 1.5 hours, so you should make yourself comfortable, get water, juice, tea, coffee, and relax, and also enjoy and learn with us today. We will have an energizer between, so we won't get stiff by sitting in one spot a lot. So we should be ending at 4:30 in Central Europe time. We might be a little bit overdue, but maybe five minutes or so. But let me tell you that during presentations today, you can write your questions. If you see a place in Zoom at the moment, there's a button called chat. So if you click on the button, there should be a chat door opening on the right side of the Zoom webinar, and you can write there to everybody. You can write your questions there. So during presentations, please write your questions there if you have any, and at the end of presentations, I will read them out for the presenter and we can answer the questions. Okay, hope everybody will have fun and learns a lot today. So our first presentation will actually focus on air pollution problem and gives you an overview what is Baltic Sea Baltic Sea Project all about. So the presentation will be done by Martin Jarath from Germany. So enjoy, and Martin, the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Geri. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to share my screen. I would like to share my presentation with you. I do hope that is the right screen I'm sharing now, which is this one. Yeah, can you see it? I do hope so.
Yes,
Yeah?
everything is good.
Good. Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Martin Jarat. And have been Germany's national coordinator for the BSP since 2015. And I have been working with the BSP as a teacher since 1998. I was asked to talk about the air pollution problem on a global scale and the Baltic Sea Project today. Well, air pollution is really a broad topic by itself. Air pollution on a global scale is something you can't deal with in a few minutes. So what I can do today in the 15 minutes I have is sharing some thoughts with you on air pollution on a more or less global scale and what this has got to do with the Baltic Sea Project from my point of view. The BSP is quite an old project. Many of you might know the BSP was a Finnish idea. It was founded in Finland. It started in 1989. And here's my first thought. At the time when the BSP was founded, in the 1980s, many forests all over Europe were suffering or even dying. In this picture, you can see an example from Germany. This dying of trees and forests was a serious problem in many places in Europe. And I had to learn that the German word Waldsterben, dying forests, became a new word in the English language. Waldsterben, dying forests. Why did this happen, Waldsterben? The answer is, it happened, for example, because of acid rain. When you burn coal, when you burn oil, and when you burn natural gas, you produce sulfur dioxide, SO2. This SO2, when it comes together with water in the atmosphere, it makes sulfuric acid through a simple chemical reaction. Burning coal and oil and also natural gas produces sulfur dioxide because all of them contain a small quantity of sulfur. And the sulfur burns to sulfur dioxide when you burn the fossil fuel. So the rain contains sulfuric acid. This is bad for the trees. That's why they die. So far about Waldsterben, so far about the 80s. Here is how the sulfur dioxide emissions in the EU developed from 1990 to 2014 in a period of 25 years. I know the EU is not the same as the Baltic Sea Project countries. For example, Russia is not a part of it, but it shows a development that took place everywhere in Europe. In 1990, EU countries produced a lot of sulfur dioxide emissions. Sulfur dioxide, that's the blue line here in this picture. And as you can see, if you follow the blue line, sulfur dioxide is going down all the time. In 2014, it is much, much lower than it was in 1990. In 2014, EU produced about 90% less SO2 emissions compared to 1990. 90% less in 25 years. Would you call this a success story? I would call this a success story. In the 1980s, SO2 was identified as one of the major reasons for the dying forests. And a lot of measures were taken everywhere in Europe to get the SO2 emissions down by as much as 90% until 2014. Another important reason for acid rain is nitrogen oxides. That's the green line in this picture. The nitrogen oxides come from industry as well as from traffic, especially cars. And as you can see in this picture, the nitrogen oxide emissions went down up to 2014 to less than 50% of what they had been in 1990. Again, minus 50%, a success story, I would say. Let's take a quick look at another example, and that is CO2. The slide gives us an overview on what has happened with CO2 in the atmosphere since 1750 and until today, which is 2019 on this picture. Please look at the red line in this picture. The red line begins in 1750. You probably all know that. That was 1750 was right before the beginning of the industrialization. At that time, the atmosphere contained about 280 ppm CO2. The CO2 concentration went up over the years more and more quickly to more than 410 ppm in 2019. Today, it's growing faster than ever by more than 3 ppm per year. Where does all the CO2 come from? You all know that. The answer is it's humans. It's us burning coal, oil, and natural gas when we heat our houses, when we travel, when we use electricity, and so on. Moreover, we burn forests. From year to year, the amount of CO2 we are producing has grown all the time, with its peak in 2019 at about 37 billion tons. Or with other words, we, mankind, all of us, produce 100 million tons CO2 every day. 100 million tons every day, still growing. CO2 emissions are now declining in Europe, luckily. They declined by a little more than 1% per year in the last decade. It even fell by 3% in 2019. The trend includes Russia, by the way. Worldwide, it is still growing, especially in Asia, also in Africa, because many of these countries are developing out of poverty. This happens through industrialization. Industrialization needs a lot of energy, and energy still means, it often means burning fossil fuels. It means producing CO2. CO2 is surely not a success story, and you all know we need to bring it down to zero, more or less until 2050, in the next 30 years. From 100 million tons a day to zero in 30 years. What do SO2 and nitrogen oxides, what does CO2 have to do with the Baltic Sea Project? When Liisa Jääskeläinen, the first BSP general coordinator ever, wrote first BSP newsletter, which was a magazine for all the teachers everywhere in the Baltic Sea area, she wrote, "The Baltic Sea Project is primarily an attempt to focus attention on the need for improved environmental education in the Baltic coastal states." Since its beginning, the Baltic Sea Project has worked with such things as air quality of the Baltic region, with SO2 reduction and the reduction of CO2 emissions. So when we are here today working digitally with a BioBlitz and with citizen science and the lichen project, we can look back to the BSP's 32 years of history since 1989. We can look back to an uncounted number of classroom projects, international classroom projects, international seminars, conferences and camps and many more. There is a true lot of educational experience inside the BSP. To get an impression, just take half an hour and look through the BSP's websites, the new one and also the old one. Just one example. Already in the 1990s, the BSP made a book on air quality, where studying lichens as air quality indicators is described. This was a Swedish initiative. People from many other BSP countries contributed. For example, teachers in Lithuania went out in the forest and made a video that describes how you can work with students on lichens as bioindicators. The BSP has contributed to making the air we breathe better in the past 32 years. As we have seen, a much greater task is lying ahead. We need to bring down the world's CO2 emissions from 100 million tons a day to almost zero in the next 30 years. Do you agree when I say this is also an educational task? I think it is a task for teachers and students, a very important task for the entire BSP. This is a picture from one of the many international conferences the Baltic Sea Project has held. What we have here today in this webinar is an international conference too, on a slightly smaller scale, of course, and it's a digital conference, of course, no one has traveled. The BSP is the world's largest long-term educational UNESCO project. It has a general coordination, it has common programs and activities, it brings together the students and the teachers of a world region, the Baltic Sea region, and most of all, it is innovative. It is developing, it is going for new things. Today's conference is an example for this. Here is another example. The picture you're looking at was taken on an international BSP conference in Germany, in Damp 2018. These two ladies are students, and at this moment, they are talking in English language to 330 international participants who have gathered for this conference. Some of you might have been there. It is possible students do this. It is possible that students moderate an international conference with 330 participants in English language at a very high quality. In fact, students ran 1/3 of all the preparatory work and organizational work during the DAMP conference. I have learned that involving students, sharing responsibility with them in a democratic way is a key to great new things in education. I'm sure many more such stories of innovation could be told from many more corners in the BSP in all your countries. The BSP is open for new ideas, for new educational developments. This is a chance to face the future challenges, more sustainability, and as a part of this, helping to bring down the CO2 emissions to zero. Here is my final thought. Many, if not most, of the international conferences in the BSP I have attended in the last 20 years had guests from outside the BSP. This is also today when we have a guest from Serbia. Wonderful. The DAMP conference in 2018, as an example, what you can see here, had guests from Japan, from New Zealand, and from South Korea. So also today, we are being watched in the BSP. We are being studied. Ministries of Education and national commissions for UNESCO are looking at what we're doing. UNESCO Paris is looking at what we're doing. Educators in Asia and Serbia and everywhere are trying to learn from us how we work together, 9 very different nations around a cold sea in Northern Europe, giving an example, giving inspiration for how countries in the Western Pacific might work together in the future. That's why they came the long way to a BSP conference in 2018. So whatever you do today in this webinar, or in the next webinar, or in your classroom tomorrow, during the next international BSP workshop or conference, we're all contributing to making the world a little better. It's not only today's webinar, your classroom I'm talking about, or your school, or your community, wherever you live or work, it's everything. Working in the BSP means you are a part of something greater. It has an effect. It's worth doing it, really. Thanks to all of you for being with us here today. Thanks to Gedi and all others for organizing this fabulous event. Enjoy the webinar, all of you. Thank you. And I'm open for questions, of course. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Martin, for this presentation. At the moment, we don't have questions in chat, but if somebody has questions, you can also turn on your microphone and ask them straight. So let's give a few seconds to see if we have any questions. Okay.
Gedi,
Yes.
what do you expect from students? Will you say it? Because some students are on this webinar now from Poland.
There's a lot of students in webinar, and for students, it's very nice opportunity to learn, listen, and learn about lichen and air quality. So the next presenter that we will have will talk what is citizen science. So students from Poland and from all the other countries that have joined today, now you will understand more what is citizen science when you listen to Triin Edovald, who will share the screen at the moment. Hopefully, Jolanta, that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Triin, stage is yours. We can't hear you at the moment. We should.
But can you see my screen?
Now we can see the screen and now we can hear you. Thank you.
So, okay, we're good to go. So, hi, my name is Triin and I'm representing the Environmental Agency. And I think I'm here because we just started to cooperate with the Baltic Sea Project. And I'm really looking forward to have a fruitful cooperation in the future. So our agency is a part of our environmental ministry working field, and we are responsible for monitoring the environment. So we are collecting data on weather, on forests, on water bodies, groundwater, biodiversity, and so on. And of course on air pollution and waste also. But I think my examples today are not so much for air pollution related citizen science, but other fields. But I think it will be interesting as well. So what is citizen science? I think it's not anything new to you. It has always been here. I think everybody can name at least one citizen science action that it's taking part in your country. But I found this nice image from internet that brings it all together really nicely and shows you that there are really different ways one can participate. You just have to be interested in a field, let's say in an environment, and then you can find a suitable way for yourself to participate. It can be donations, it can be your time, which is really valuable. It can be your knowledge or something else. And mostly what is used in citizen science, I think it's the data collection and the data validation. These are the most used ways. So, like I said, it's not new thing, citizen science. But I think we just, for example, 100 years ago, we just didn't name it like that. But in Estonia, there were already in 1951, Estonian Naturalist Society gave out this kind of pamphlets or small volumes of books. There are already 100 of them by now that help people who are interested to collect data, or they teach people how to differentiate the species, how to watch birds, how to watch the lightning and make notes. And it was really popular, and people could also post their data to the scientists, but back then everything was on paper, of course, and there weren't the technology to help us out. And on the picture below, you can also see some ornithologists, or let's say hobby ornithologists, because the bird lovers have always been the biggest group, I think, in every country to participate in citizen science and to give effort. So right there, they're helping to ring the birds. And it is like that today also. So now I'm going to introduce you some of the latest or recent projects that have been done in Estonia. So we start with a plant project, or plant community project. It was started by a team of university scientists who are studying landscape biodiversity, and they asked people to go outside and find plant what is called Cowslip, or in Latin it's Primula veris, and to count their flowers. There are two types of flowers. So I'm going to show you a really fast and short video. It's in Estonia, of course, but I think the image will say enough. So they called people to find this flower, make an observation, count the flowers, and then in this way they could participate in making some science. So it started in 2019. There were more than 1,700 observations made, and actually the results were really interesting, because they thought that it will be the two types which the people were asked to count, the two types of flowers you can see here. that there will be 50 and 50% of each type of flowers, but actually the results were pretty different. And it can help us to know more about this these plant communities and these grasslands, which are getting more and more rare in Estonia, at least. And this year I have some information that Latvia is going to join this this project. So maybe if you are interested and you have this flower in your country, you can check out this website that's also in English and contact organizers. So another project is from the Ornithological Society called To Life, and it's the Wintry Garden Birdwatch. This year it was just 2 weeks ago when it happened, so I don't have this year's results yet. But last year 2020, there were almost 2,000 observers who made their observations in 1,200 different spots. It's really easy. You can just sit on your window, and for 1 hour you can mark down all the birds you saw from your window. And this year it was 38,000 different birds. And I have to say it wasn't really good year, that 2020, because I know that in 2019 there were more than 70,000 birds observed. And I think the biggest which this project is really good is because it has been 12 years in a row now, so we have a really long lines of data to analyze and to compare. One other example from last year, it's a really nice one. It's called tick bank. So tick is the not the insect, but well, it's tick with 8 legs. So the ticks you can see here in this picture, and maybe you know that they carry some diseases. So the National Institute for Health Development in Estonia wanted to know how many of the ticks are carrying diseases and what kind of diseases are they carrying. So they asked people to collect ticks from themselves, from their pets, and to freeze them overnight, and then send the ticks to the health development institution. So people just not emailed but posted the ticks with envelopes, and there were more than 6,000 ticks sent. And they made this kind of web page where you can see the results also, where these high risk areas are, where the ticks are really contagious and carrying lots of diseases, and where there's bigger opportunity to get sick if the tick gets you. And they also found that more than 60% ticks were infected with different diseases. So now there are 2 examples from my own workplace, one of which we started in 2019, and it was kind of like a pilot project to see how we can use volunteer data with our national monitoring data. So the amphibians, the frogs, and the the amphibians are the one group who are monitored every year, every summer in Estonia, because we don't have many species and they are all under the nature protection here. And but we have only like specialists you can count on one hand. So we wanted to send people on more spots. And the first year in 2019 showed actually that you can see on this map that the green squares are the places where the volunteers went, and the red squares are the places where the national monitoring took place. So we can actually see that volunteers can reach more different spots in one season, in one summer, because there are just so many of them. But the problem is that the national experts can identify more species, because there are species that which are rare. So these kind of species are hard to find. So we still need to be use our experts to monitor amphibians, but we can also use volunteers to gather a bigger data set. So since then we have made a Facebook page where people can ask questions and share their emotions, and we have also already plans for the next year. And this is my my own project which I'm leading, and it's called the New Atlas of Mammals. We are doing it to see where the mammals are distributed in Estonia, and also we have some new species in recent years. And in 3 years, in 2024, we are also giving this data to people who are making a European new mammal atlas. So this data is needed also in Europe. And so far we have gathered all the data we have. We have the data from national monitoring inventories. We have data from huntsmen, but also the data that people are collecting and inserting into our nature observation database. So everyone can just go and see if some species are present in their home village or home city, and see if they can contribute. So we have already also the first succeed stories, but first I will I will share how we cooperate with children from schools. So there's really nice project for school children that use track cameras. They buy their own track cameras for a class, and they put them up somewhere near the school so they can go and check it like once or twice, once in a week or twice in a month or so. And all the animals that they caught in the camera, they also put in the database, so we can use them for making these maps. So this is a really nice thing to do with the children and go outside also. And another way we have found Facebook groups are endless sources of material, because there are lots of people who post pictures of animals who live in their garden, and so we can help them to identify them, and they can give us more data about the whereabouts. And the first results that we have had last year, we asked people to especially go out and search for squirrels and also moles, because they are two species that people can that people know and can mark down really easily. So this is the map showing that when we started this campaign, we had only positive observations on these light green dots or light green squares, and with about 9 months we got all these new squares with positive observations, the darker green ones. And with all, it was even more of a success story, because now when the map before that campaign was quite empty, then now we have almost all the mainland covered with positive observations. So this is it, and if you have any questions, you can write here in the chat or just write to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trine. This is lovely to see all the examples of citizen science and how we can do something with students at schools. You got really nice comments here about the projects, and you got one question. Did you count only the red squirrels or also the black squirrels?
Yes, that's a nice question. We are counting all the squirrels, but as we know, at least in Estonia, I don't know how it's in the other countries, but in Estonia, actually the black squirrels are the red squirrels, but they are just colored black on the islands. So on the islands, we also count the black squirrels, but we know that they're one species.
Yes. Thank you, Barbara, for that question. Do we have few other questions.
I have one question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So in Finland, we are like collecting the species and making the herbariums. There, it's written in our curriculum since about 4th grade to the 9th grade. It is written they are collecting the species. But how about in Poland and Estonia and other countries? Is it so?
I can say that this is really common in, if you go to study like biology or something, they all do these herbariums. But in the regular school, I know that my sister made one when she was in the 7th grade. But if I was in school, I never did such things.
Is it a kind of volunteer?
I think it depends on the teacher. When the teacher is like, let's go outside and collect some plants and do it, and they have time to do it, they will do it. But it's not in the curriculum in Estonia, I think, unfortunately.
We do have teachers from Estonia, Poland who can answer that as well. But I think it's a very good topic that we could discuss in a teacher seminar. Also some other time, what kind of things we should can have in curriculum. There's also one question for Triin about citizen science. Does the Cowslip project continue this year, and can we take part? Or is it a private person or also for schools?
I think I can send you with Kedi some instructions, and they have this web page in English, because I'm not the leader of this project, but the project are done by Tartu University. But as I know that this year they are going forward with this project, and as I said, the Latvians are already taking part. So I'm sure that you can also participate and send your data also there. So, but you have to ask from the coordinators, how is it to enter with the schools?
Thank you very much. Yes, I will collect these opportunities, because from this year we started to cooperate with the Environment Agency, and we will have more of the opportunities like this in the future. And then the Baltic Sea Project team will also provide you this information. So thank you, Triin, very much. And we will go forward to the next presentation. The next presentation is actually about how schools can join and how you can use the topic at school. And Nikolai, it's your turn.
That's right. Okay, one second. So I just need to make sure that yeah, the live stream is working. Okay, thank you very much. So Getty is going to be doing my slides here. So all right. So talking about lichen as for a school project for us in Germany, and I think that's going to be in other countries as well, then the content. So we wouldn't find lichen as any form of content in our school curriculum. Nobody tells us that we need to teach about lichen. And so that often ends up leading to the fact that, yeah, we don't teach about it. It's not really in many books. And I myself, I'm a biology teacher, and I also realized I don't really know that much about lichen. So I joined the citizen science group, and they started talking about putting on a lichen BioBlitz. And I realized myself, wow, okay, what a terrible biology teacher. I don't really know much about lichen. So I started looking into it. I remember this quote here. I was in 7th grade. I must have been like 12 or 13 years old. And this is something I learned from my science teacher back then. And that was all I really knew about lichen. So I started thinking about, okay, well, if I was going to get this into school, then I would, how would I do that? And I wouldn't just, teach about lichens. It would need to be about more than that. And so I was trying to think about how I would put together a project, and I wanted to just start with that with you, where, okay, we start as students then, and they can be young, maybe even 7th grade, maybe older, and you even have that question, what is a lichen? And that's where you start. And then where do we want to end? Where do we want to finish with this project? And what I realized talking with the group is that, okay, our finish line can be somewhere way further. This is lichens, and especially their relevance when talking about air quality. This is a big deal. And so the finish line for me was students, teachers, schools actively contributing to better living conditions worldwide. And I just want to kind of present how a project like this might be able to be possible. So you start with lichens, and you start on maybe the level of just asking that question, what is a lichen? Find out about it. Even and I always say, just let students find out. We have so many resources online. That's the easy stuff. Let them find out what lichens are. Let them find out about how lichens work. So we're dealing with symbiosis. We're dealing with biochemistry. We're dealing with the big picture of basically photosynthesis working, and in different biochemical processes that are part of every large ecosystem. So which role do lichens play in an ecosystem? What are they part of? What other plants and animals have maybe a similar role in ecosystems? So you really get to the ecology part of things. And then we move on to applied science and talking about lichens as a bioindicator. You can even put in kind of a historical relevance as well when talking about that, because now we have lots of different instruments that we can use to measure air quality, but it wasn't always like that. And so lichens were very important when you didn't have these instruments. And something I had heard of, and that's kind of where I started, I kind of knew what a lichen was. And I also read somewhere that from the World Health Organization, they published an article a few years ago saying there's 5 million premature deaths caused by bad air quality. And this is exactly what we're also measuring then with lichens. So we're taking this project kind of, and giving it a social relevance. And I think that's really important at school to for students, to make it interesting, make it relevant. And when we're talking about education nowadays then, and kind of going away from the sciences and talking about global citizenship education for sustainable development, then we also think about how do we get students and teachers to actively contribute to solving problems? And so this is then the point at the end of a project. Then I think this is actually the most important part of a project then, is when you start discussing causes of this problem then. So we've moved away from the lichens, right? And we're really now talking about a global problem. We have students prototype solutions to these problems, and then really think about how can we actively contribute to better air quality, and then go out in their communities, go out at school, start a campaign. There's so many different ways. Just leave it to the students then, of course, depending on their age and the different possibilities they have at this point. So, and one of the tools that really allows us to make this project, to even it's a digital tool. It allows us to contribute to citizen science. It allows it to even be just more fun, hands-on. It gives us really a reason to go outside into a forest in the middle of winter, is iNaturalist. And Getty's going to talk about iNaturalist then later in some of the functions. And we also have a YouTube tutorial about using iNaturalist and recording then the species of animals or plants that we find. And you can use this then for different parts of this project. So you would start with really just using this tool, and we'll show you later, but finding out what lichens even look like, where they exist, where you can find them globally. So you can really use this tool to find out where have lichens been seen around the world. And that's really interesting to see that they're part of pretty much every ecosystem around the world. And then you do the BioBlitz, and that's something we want to introduce as well. That's part of this air quality month, that gets students to go outside, collect their own data, and have them compare and analyze their own data, what they've collected, and also with other students. And then finally, when you get to this kind of critical and creative thinking part of the project and putting it in a global sense, then iNaturalist also helps us compare results with global data and having students be able to discuss and, very important, take evidence-based actions, not actions just based on, that's, I don't know, that's what I feel or that's what I think, which I think sometimes can still be good. It should be my interest and I want to take action, but even better when it's based on sound evidence. So yeah, that's it from me. Just kind of a quick overview about different possibilities of how to maybe introduce a lichen project into your schools.
Thank you, Nick. I will take forward from here and then we'll get the questions, if that's okay. Because me and Nick, we kind of shared the presentation. But we do have two different slides, so I have to change them quickly. And let me see if I can share it again. Okay, so we are inviting all the students and all the teachers to participate in this air quality month. And first step is today, where we learn about air quality. We already have heard about the problems. We already found out that there's some kind of a possibility to do some kind of projects as citizen scientists. So we heard from Triin and Martin. We now understood from Nick's side that this can be taught at school in a sort of a cycle with different connections. And I really want to tell that to take part of this year's Citizen Science BioBlitz, we are offering this lichen BioBlitz in this month. So from today till the end of February, 28th of February, everybody can take actions and get involved in citizen science. I will go through the steps here, and for all the people who are joining this webinar today, we will also send the instructions. Those are in our blog actually, but it's very easy. First of all, everybody who wants to become little scientists, citizen scientists, can first make an account in iNaturalist. So you can use your smartphone or your computer, download this app, and you can log in using your Google or Facebook account, or you can make a new account. But I have to say that if we have students under 13 years of age, then they need parental permission to do it. And we have a description how to do it in our blog as well. So we will share that after this webinar. But after you have done this account, you can go to this little registration link and send us the username that you will use in iNaturalist. This is because then only I can go into the iNaturalist and add you as a member of this collection project. And all the information, I mean, all the lichen that you will look during the time period and take picture of and then send it to iNaturalist, we can then see and add it to our project. So here is the link to the project that we have created. I will quickly show you this. Actually, it's already open here. So you can see that it says here that its event is in progress. That means it's already possible to do observations. And you can get information about the project here. And to start off, I did 2 pictures this morning with my phone, uploaded them in iNaturalist, and now here they are. So if I don't know really what kind of lichen it is, I will tell that I think that it's this lichen, and the community and the other people who are doing also, they can help me to figure out if that's the correct lichen or not. But oh, okay. Sorry about that. Thanks for saying that. So now you should see this. So this is the project, and you can see that observations have done only 2. That's my testing. And later on, when you look at this project, you can see all the participants and their observations here and the statistics. So you can see now that we already have 13 participants. They have sent me their username, and I can add them to this project. So that's how I can see later on the map of the Baltic Sea area where the observations have been done and what kind of species we have found. So just to quickly go back to my presentation here and say that after this, when you have registered, I will send you all the information in your email. And after that, you can take action. You can choose a date or dates. It doesn't have to be only one day. You can make more observations if you want. You can choose a location. You can choose different locations, and you can go outside for 1 hour or longer. But at least 1 hour, then you can really search around and take pictures of all the different lichen species. So, and try to get a clear picture that we can see the species. And then we have actually prepared this kind of 12 species info sheet for you with the help of Theodora, who will also explain today all about lichens to you. But to show you this this sheet, I have to share my screen and then click on this. Then you should be able to see it. Nick, you can just tell if you don't see or if you see it. Okay, so it's getting info, and so it looks like this. So it's very simple. The first category is the tolerant ones to all the severe acidic pollution, and on the second, in the last group, in the 4th group, they are not so tolerant. So if you find some species that are in the 4th group, you can say that in this area the air quality is better than if you find something in the 1st group. So, and here on the 2nd page, we have all the names in all the Baltic Sea languages, which makes it easier to use. So this we will also make possible for everybody to have and use later after this presentation. But how to use iNaturalist, it really takes a little longer time, but we have a tutorial video and we share this link with you. But it's actually easy when you have your phone, you have the account, then you just have to press this small button here, green button that says plus, and then you start adding observations. All the pictures that you are going to take, you can ask, what is this, what I saw? And it gives you some kind of possibilities to to choose from. If you don't find the right species, you can send the picture without setting a species to it, and then the community can help you. So the final steps, when you have taken the pictures, you have uploaded them in iNaturalist, and then is to go to this page that I already show you and see if your observations can be seen there. If you cannot see them in some reason, then you can write to me and I'll help. Next step is when it's over, when February is over, you will get a certificate of participation. And during February, you can join other international events during Air Quality Month. And you will hear about them today with different presenters. So try it out. If you need help, you can write to me and you can ask from your coordinators, because this is the second time we are doing it, and they might also know already. You can also watch this video again and again until you know for sure how to use it. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I see if we have any kind of information or questions here. People have shared links. One comment for Nick about Austria, that the air quality and lichens were always the topic, especially on the trees. And then Jolanta asks me to send some information. Okay. Then is Barbara asks, is this project only for the Baltic Sea area, or can we from Germany and other countries to join? This iNaturalist is for all the Baltic Sea countries around Baltic Sea, which includes Germany as well. So hopefully you can take part. And we didn't have any questions in the chat at the moment, and I think we are a little bit late for the schedule. So I will help Bita, Jolanta, I will help her right this second. Yeah.
My question is very short,
Okay.
a very short one. I would like to ask you if students have to find lichens near their homes, or they can take pictures of lichens, for example, when they go to the village where they have small hut or something like that.
They choose the location. It doesn't have to be at their home. It is better when it's outside, where it's more trees, where there's more lichen. If you go to the forest, a park nearby, or it can be during when you go to school or back to school on the road. So it doesn't have to be your home garden. Thanks for the question.
You know that we live in Katowice, so it is a little bit dirty city. It's not a lot of lichens here. So why is my question?
Yes, thank you very much. So we will go forward from here. We have a quick energizer, and for that I will give word for Gunta. Gunta, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, just a minute. So it's time for some physical activities. Just a moment. I will share my screen. I hope it's not done. So, oh no, it's not the right button. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just a minute. I don't know how to. Okay. Oh. Sorry.
It was on the screen before.
Yeah, I know, but okay. So, okay. So now it's good, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, it wasn't in my plan, but okay, let's start. So I would like to ask you to turn on your cameras for a while. It will be only 4 minutes, so it will be nice to see you all. Okay. Then are you ready for some activities? So show me your energy level. This means you are fully energized. This is 50-50. And this is mean not so good. So I'm totally okay. 50-50. I need some more activities. Okay. Cool. So now just imagine you are in the middle of the Baltic Sea and say hello to your neighbors. And we will do it in this way. It's called office yoga. So with the left hand, are you see me? So say hello to neighbors, to Latvia, Lithuania, Russia. Hello. And then with the right hand, say hello to Norway, Sweden. Hello. Okay, then we have neighbors also there. So say hello to neighbors to Germany, then to Austria, to Denmark, and of course to our neighbors to Finland. Hello, Finland. Okay, well done. It was like an easy part. Now we will stand up. I would don't see, so stand up, please. For a while. Okay, and I will give you one statement and you will need to answer yes or no, but without words, only with the yoga poses, or we call it asana. So are you ready? This is the first question. So are you ready? If you agree, so make this one. If you disagree, then make this one. So I'm joking. It was a little bit more easier. So my first statement is lichen is an excellent bioindicator air quality. If you agree, then make this flying star to right. And if you disagree, then make this flying star to left. Okay, so ready, steady, go. And keep it for 10 seconds.
Gunta, are you here?
So, and this pose called move heel. So, and if you agree with this, make this heel like a strong one. Wait, no, not heel, 3. So this big 3. And if you disagree, then okay. So ready, steady, go. Agree or disagree? Excellent. Well done. And the next one, and this is the last one. I will be a part of BioBlitz. So if you agree, you make this unicorn. Or if you disagree, then make hands to feet. Ready, steady, go, and keep it for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 5, 5. Okay, ready. So, and now it's time to back to work.
Thank you, Gunta, for that. We really needed moving, I think. But we will also continue quite quickly for the next presentation, which is very interesting because it will tell us all about the lichen. Tiiu, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, it's your turn.
Okay, you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh.
You can share your screen. Okay. And this is wonderful, Gunta. Thank you.
Share my screen. Share. Yes. Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes.
No. Hi, my name is Tiiu. Tere from Estonia, and I was asked to talk today about lichens. Why is lichen used as an air quality bioindicator, and what connections can we draw with climate change? Okay, let's start with what is lichen. Lichens are nothing like plants or mosses. Lichens are more like miniature organisms that are more like ecosystems. They're made of fungus and algae and or cyanobacteria. So a lichen is not a single organism. Its body may look like one, but it's not. All these 2 or 3 different life forms work very closely together. The dominant part in here is fungus. The alga can be either a green alga or blue-green alga, otherwise known as cyanobacteria. Many lichens will have both types of algae. Toby's Prebill and others in 2016, they describe lichens that are made up to an alga along with 3 different types of fungi. And this finding could explain why many genetically similar species, lichen species, present widely different physical features, and why scientists have not been able to synthesize lichens in the laboratory, even when combining species that partner successfully in nature. In this symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi, the fungus provides shelter for the algae, and the algae provides food for the fungi. What are fungi? Oh, fungi are a diverse group of organisms. They are in their own kingdom. Their kingdom is fungi. It is separate from plants. Fungi are incapable of photosynthesis because they lack the green pigment chlorophyll. So fungi do not contain chlorophyll or any other means of producing their own food. So they rely on other organisms for nutrition. So when a fungus, which is a dominant partner in this relationship, associates with an alga, usually from the green algae or cyanobacterium to form a lichen, it is providing itself with a constant access to a source of nourishment. The fungus is the one who controls the association in a way that is sometimes described as agriculture. What is algae? Algae are another kingdom. Again, another kingdom, Protista, and again, they are separate from plants and fungi. There are several types of algae: green, brown, red, gold. They can survive in salt water and in fresh water on their own, and in any environment when they are part of a lichen relationship. One important function of lichens is that they provide a mode of survival in harsh environments, where algae cannot normally survive in their own. And since the fungus can protect its algae, these normally water-requiring organisms can live in dry, sunny climates without dying, as long as there are occasional rain, showers, or flooding available. Now, to grow, lichens get their nutrition from the air, and lichens, as you already know, are complex organisms, and hence their response to the air pollution is also more complex. They lack a vascular system and absorb water and nutrients passively from their environment. Because of this, lichens are particularly sensitive to environmental factors such as temperature, water availability, and air pollutants. Because they have no roots, they cannot filter what they absorb. So whatever is in the air is taken in straight inside the thallus, and pollutants accumulate this way, and they can become toxic to lichen. Biomonitoring with lichens can be done in 3 ways: using variations in diversity and or abundance, using variation in physiological parameters, or using lichens as accumulators of pollutants. Maps of lichen diversity abundance enable areas with different levels of disturbance to be identified. If identification of all species is too big task to tackle, then only a selected indicator species can be used. But selection of indicator species needs previous studies. If there are no previous studies, you are not able to choose which species are indicators and which are not. However, the direct causes of such disturbances in lichen communities are difficult to assess only from biodiversity data. When we need to identify the stress-related decreases in lichen biodiversity, further analysis of the abiotic factors affecting lichens communities is needed. Therefore, in environmental pollution studies, further chemical analysis is advisable in order to identify the pollutants. What is common approach in Europe is the mapping of epiphytic lichen diversity to assess the change at population and or community level. And this is an increasingly common approach in biomonitoring with lichens in Europe. No. Some sensitive lichen species develop structural changes in response to air pollution, including reduced photosynthesis and bleaching. Pollution can also cause the death of some lichen algae, discoloration and reduced growth of the lichen fungus, or it can kill a lichen completely. Over time, sensitive species may be replaced by pollution-tolerant species. Hence, the species of lichens present in a location and the concentration of pollutants measured in those lichens can tell us a lot about air quality. And you already know that lichens absorb water and minerals from rainwater and directly from the atmosphere over their entire surface area. And this makes them extremely sensitive to atmospheric pollution. As a result, there are usually very few lichens around industrial centers and in town centers. And different lichen species vary their tolerance to pollution and therefore make very good indicators of levels of atmospheric pollution. If you look at lichens in urban environment, levels of sulfur dioxide, air pollution in general, and acidic rain have been falling. But in the 1960s, 70s, air pollution was so severe that trees near city center of towns might have no lichens at all. It was called lichen desert, or only the pollution-tolerant lichen Lecanora conizaoides was present. Lichens are sensitive to atmospheric pollution, such as nitrogen, because they receive all their nutrients and water from dry atmospheric deposition. And nitrogen deposition can increase the load of nutrients. Too much nitrogen can harm and kill the algae's chlorophyll, which is used to produce sugars, feeding the algae and the fungi. Okay, because they're sensitive physiology, lichens are more likely to be affected by environmental changes than other plants. And changes in temperature or water availability will lead to shifts in lichen communities. Such changes attributed to climate change have already been reported. Now, according to many authors, lichens respond rapidly to climate change. And according to Sancho and others, 2019, lichens are excellent biomonitors of climate change in Antarctic, and according to Uproot, 2009 also on high mountains in tropical areas. So lichens have been observed to respond rapidly to climate change. So far, the changes are expected with a rather rapid increase of subtropical species in temperate areas and gradual decrease of some boreal-alpine elements. Lichens tend to be widespread, but climate change affects them most at their dispersal limits. Also, many of the lichen species seem to be capable of rather rapid dispersal, but lichens have indirectly suffered from global change effect in Arctic regions. The most severe effects of climate change leading to probable extinctions are expected on the limits of their distribution. Because the use of lichens to monitor climate change has not proved to be easy. The effects of any changes in broad climatic factors, such as temperature and/or water availability, may be confounded by other aspects of the environment. In particular, in Europe, there is and has been a massive influence by pollutants. In consequence, we have a dynamic situation of previously excluded lichen species returning back to areas that previously were polluted by sulfur dioxide. Concurrently, there is a loss of sulfur dioxide resistant species and gains by species to tolerate and require high nitrogen, and also, but often ignored, two groups of potentially new species, one occupying the intermediate period between the loss and return, and the other, the completely new habitats created by the changing pollutant impacts. In this situation in Europe, using lichens to identify change to climate is difficult and perhaps impossible at the moment. What we need in future is a detailed assessment of the situation using historical data. Many of the species had a broader distribution in the past, and data from sites where only a single pollutant occurred. This is also needed. In addition to pollutants that directly impact lichens, they can also be affected by other changes in the environment, in particular responses of higher plants. Bearing in mind what we already know, the most suitable locations to monitor and detect the impact of climate change on lichens would be those with no or very little pollution, both now and in the past. Minimal to no human impacts, good records of species and gradients for both lichen and environment. This brings us to Antarctica, which meets all these requirements, or almost all the continent in the Antarctic Peninsula. And Antarctica has evidence of distributional changes in higher plants in response to climate change. Lichens seem to offer possibilities for future research. This future research that could contribute considerably to our understanding of drivers of climate change responses. Yeah. Here is, if somebody wants to study further, here are some references I used for my presentation. And this is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, if you don't have, I have prepared for you 2 questions.
Thank you very much to you. This is very interesting, and I would love to read through all the books that you have read. Do we have any questions? At the moment, we don't have in the chat, but
do we have time?
The time is very limited.
Okay. Actually, if we don't have time, then I have 2 slides with answers to these questions.
But you can very concretely show them.
Okay, I very quickly show them. How to identify lichens. Use a key. Here is a link to some useful interactive keys. And I can comment very quickly. If you decide between dichotomous key options by looking at the photos, then it's more fun to identify a lichen. But if you read the text, you will end with the right identification. So if you do both, you read and look at the picture, it's fun, and the end result is right identification. Okay, next. What about eating lichens? Don't do that. Eat fish. The nutritional value of lichens is really very low. They taste really, really bad. They're hard to chew. You can't break the tissue to get access to some nutrition. It's not worth it. If they should, okay, some people can be also allergic to oxalic acid. Up to 1% of people could be allergic, and some secondary compounds in lichens are toxic, and they can cause liver damage, and it's not worth it.
So take this with you. Don't eat lichen, but observe them.
Yes.
And report where they live.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tio. This is lovely. Hopefully we will have questions. Even if you have questions later, you can write them to me, and we will find the answers with the presenters that we have here today. The topic of lichen is not really over yet, because the Lichen Month offers you some other activities. So the first is this webinar. The second will be the BioBlitz, where you have to also register, like I showed you on the presentation. And the third one will be a art campaign. Now, the students that are younger and who are actually participating today, this is definitely for you. So now listen up. Grete will tell you all about what is this art contest about and how you can take part, participate in that. So quickly, I will share the information on my screen, and Grete can tell you about it. Grete?
Thank you. So as you can see, there is a proposal for this activity, art campaign, because science is interesting, but art is fun. And when they are together, it's even better. So could you show the rules a little bit? Yes. So here are the rules of this art campaign, which will be held during whole February, starting from today. And well, because it's art, because everyone's are creative, so we do not have very strict rules what can be created and which can be not, but the main theme is the green life among lichen. So as long as it's concerned about lichens, it's pretty well. And participants can send the artwork in any format. It can be photo, it can be scan painting, it can be even a comic, a video, a story, maybe even a cooking recipe. Even the last the last person just told that you cannot eat lichens. Whatever it is, as long as it's about lichens and it's creative, you can do it. Anyway, video cannot be longer than 3 minutes because there are a lot of participants who want to show off, and one participant cannot send more than 5 files. All these artworks can be sent to my email, which you can see here. And that's because we will not only to collect them and decide them, but also we will be sharing this, at least in Lithuania, for my organization, but other partners said they also will help. And these artworks will also be showed during international virtual Aura campaign, which is getting showing like now, which will be held during 4th to 6th May. And also in our Baltic Sea Project blog. And of course, participants can be any age, school or preschool children, but no older than 19 years old. So basically, as long as you're in school, you can participate here. And why it is important to look at lichen not only from the scientific point of view, but also from artistic point of view, there are 2 main reasons. So first of all, it's a wonderful way to reflect what you have learned during your school, during this and another's project, because when you start doing something by yourself, you have to understand it. It's not enough just to repeat what you have learned, what just your teacher told you, what you read in the book, but you have to, if you want to create something by yourself, if you want to do something really unique, you have to start thinking by your own. So it's a wonderful way to reflect what you've learned at the one side. And on the other side, when you are starting to thinking about something by yourself and you're starting to understand it and to know it better and better, there is no other way but just you start to loving it. And of course, some nature conservations are represented from that point of view, that you are heroes, you can save the nature, you can do a good job. But on the other hand, for some students, it feels very stressful to be all the time in confront with something bad and to be good. But when you just start to loving something, even it's animals, even it's lichens, whatever it's nature, then this confrontations just fades off, because when you love something, you don't need to force yourself to do something good for it. It just becomes natural. So the more we know about nature, the more we understand it, the more love it, the easier it is to save it from negative effects. So that's the main point of this contest, I think. Thank you all.
Thank you, Grete. And I shared the link of this blog that we have. So all the information that we have shared today, you can find in this blog. Just click on the link and you can see all the campaign rules here and all the BioBlitz rules here as well. So it's very easy to find the information. But now I know that it's 3 minutes past the time that we told the webinar will be closed, but we would like to use a few more minutes to share you different activities among the lichen and among the air quality month that we will have later on during the spring until the end of summer. So very quickly, we have different presenters that will tell you about it. And I have Victoria, who asked me to go before Elina. I hope it's okay. She really needs to take a bus, no, a train. And Victoria, you can tell us what is your activity, where you want students or teachers to be involved.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that you let me in. So I will be very quick. I'm going to talk about the Estonian Model United Nations program, and you might be wondering how is it related to lichen or air quality, but I'm sure it is, because the Estonian Model United Nations is an event that is teaching young people to speak up on different topics, and some of them are also related to environment. Can you hear me? Is it okay? Because I'm in a hotel lobby.
Yes.
Well, anyways, we are expecting students to participate in this program of age 15 to 19, and also they teachers. Teachers are especially needed in this preparational stage, while they will be helping their students to prepare for the role play. So the next is the topic. So here is the interesting part. So although most of the topics are related to global citizenship and also human rights, some of them are also linked directly to environment, like Committee on Biodiversity this year will be focused on ecosystems and climate change. We do not have the topic specified yet, but it will be done soon. And I think by the next week, we will have the topic which is more specific. So you can see the topics on the screen. There will be, the students will be working in 5 different groups. 4 groups will be bigger, and 1 group will be a little small media journalist team who will be just taking pictures of the event and showing what is happening. But what is the event that I'm talking about, actually? Where will those 4 groups will be? That's the event that will happen in June 10th to 13th in Estonia, in Tampsalu. But before we get there, before the students are ready to engage in a 4-day role play and play delegates of UN and also the International Court of Justice judges. I'm sorry, can you please switch off the microphone? Somebody has their microphone on. Thank you. So anyways, before the students are ready to engage in a 4-day role play and take on their serious roles, we have this program to help them participate. And the first event is already next week. And it's a very cool event. It's because I just found out on Friday that our president, our Miss Kersti Kaljulaid, has agreed to come and share her thoughts on those matters. So I really invite all of the students and teachers to come and engage in this event. I will send a link to chat, and I really hope to see most of you there, because also there we will be talking more about ESTMON and the events. And other events you can also see on this slide. And to find out more about ESTMON, you can go to our YouTube playlist. The link is active, so when Gedi will share this presentation, you can also click on this link and see the videos. So this is all from me. I will send the link to chat about the webinar next week and hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will share the presentation and you can ask more from Victoria, but we also would like to share a few more actions and Elina is telling you about. Next month is March, and in March we have actually another celebration coming. Elina, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Hello everyone. So I am Elina Koskela-Tarvas from Helsinki, Finland. And I will tell you shortly. Oh, now this says host disabled participant screen sharing. What's wrong?
Nick will fix it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will tell you about Water Week that we will. Okay. And can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So in the end of March, together in all BSP countries and all BSP schools, we will celebrate Water Week. I'm sure this UN Water Day is already familiar to you, and maybe you have already celebrated it at your school in previous years, but this year we want to celebrate it together, and we want to make it a Water Week, so we have more time for this topic. And this year, the UN Water Day theme is valuing water. So that's also the topic we want to concentrate on. And here are some ideas that our Water Day or Water Week team has for the Water Week. And we are going to make a Padlet where we can collect photos and videos that students make. And they should be about this theme, valuing water. And you can think about why is water important and what does it mean to you, but also you can do some fun things with water or snow or ice, like here in North, you can maybe go ice fishing or build something of snow, and in the other parts of Baltic Sea area, you can dip into the Baltic Sea and video it or take a photo of it or whatever you find fun. And then, because we also have this cultural side, we are going to collect idioms that are related to water in different languages. I'm sure all the Baltic languages have them. And we can also collect them on Padlet. And then we are offering different water experiments for different age groups. And we will send you tips about them. And then one thing you can do is a class commitment. You can discuss in your class how you can together save water or help keeping the water clean, and you can decide what you are going to do during the week or what you are going not to do during the week. And these were some examples, and later in a couple of weeks we will post all the activities and also these Padlet links on our blog, which is the same one Gedi just showed you. And I'm sure your BSP coordinator in your country will send you all the information by email too. And also we are going to have a, sorry, I don't know what happened. We are going to have a workshop in our Aura virtual camp in May. So there you can show what you actually did during the Water Week. So that was all about it. And sorry about my kids. And if you have any questions, you can ask or you can write on the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Elina. This is a lot of information for all the participants, and we're sorry to take too much of your time, but there's two presentations that already mentioned that we will have some kind of a virtual camp in Arrow. What is that? So the last presenter will tell us about what is Arrow Virtual Camp, because there all the things that you will draw about lichen or all the lichen work will be in a virtual exhibition, and all of the Water Week activities will be also showed in the workshop. What is this Arrow Virtual Camp, Nick?
I'm just going to tell you about it real quickly. So we've had 2 international camps on a small little island in Denmark with 90 students and teachers from all of the Baltic Sea countries. That was in 2017 and 2019, and we were going to do it in 2021. But because of COVID, we're going to turn it into a digital camp. So we'll have 3 to 4 days, and we'll have lots of different, like this, we'll have webinars, but we'll have workshops where you're able to really do something together. We'll have a live stream going on so that we can have different speakers who are presenting that you can just also watch, like on a YouTube channel. But we'll also be doing some kind of hybrid activities, like we're planning on doing a BioBlitz. So
you yourself, or maybe with small groups of people in your country, will take part in a BioBlitz, but will still be doing it internationally and meeting together in a virtual environment. So there's also, we're planning on having a virtual escape room. So I'm really looking forward to making it possible to have international groups of students and teachers taking part in a digital escape room. And we'll have little workshops that'll make it possible for the results from our water, the water month, or also the water workshop, and also the art contest that is part of the air quality month. We'll be able to kind of put that on show during this week, and also to have additional workshops. So it's hard to imagine how is this going to work, digital and hybrid and everything, but we're looking forward to putting it together for the first week in May. And as soon as we have more details and information on how to sign up, we'll let you know.
Thank you, Nick. So we now know about what is happening during next few months in Baltic Sea Project, and we know we also know so much about lichen and what to look for it. And I see we have few young participants here. I hope this was not too much information at once. You can always look at the video again and again, and to see if you understand some bits later. So we also had one other presenter, but he also needed to take the bus, unfortunately. But we will have another Baltic Sea Day in the end of August, but we will send that information later on. So otherwise it's too much at once. To finish this up, please, everyone who's still here, I see that 38 participants are still here. Thank you very much for being here. We have been gone over 50 minutes, which is the academic hour, which is allowed. All right. So if you're still here, please turn on your camera so we can wave goodbye to you and thank you. All the lovely faces, all the happy faces. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you will take part of the BioBlitz that we will have soon. Your information is in the blog, and hopefully you will take part of the art contest. Bye everybody, and have a good time. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So let's finish it up by opening up all the microphones, and let's say bye together.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.